hear while we were meditating? That dog was singing God, God, God. Did you hear it? No, really. Did you? That's your dog? I was wondering. Did you hear? She was going. Right. She was going. Where? Silence. Where? She was.
Do you believe?
Well, some of us
If you
do.
don't, you ought to have said, that's why you fail.
Dog is God.
Backwards, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah, summer is such a magnificent time because there's so much life around us. And if we're hurrying and running around, we're not going to hear it or see it or feel the magic. The magic we know is in the moment, right? So the sun, they call it the lazy, hazy, crazy days of summer. So maybe we can, especially this is a 7 month. 7 is the vibration of going within, which is interesting because then we have so much sunshine. But in this, so it's the balance here. This is a really important time to take a few moments every day, if you're not doing it already, and tune in with your soul. Tune in with spirit. Make your connection with the divine the most important appointment of your whole day. Now you hear us say that a lot. What's that, love?
No, I was just going, I agree.
Otherwise, our life can be overwhelming. I had an interesting thing happen to me this week. I was telling Tom about it. I've been practicing Raja Yoga for a very long time, Kriya Yoga meditation and meditation with the light. And after, decades of this, your happiness level, which is the norm, the baseline, is way up. So, in other words, even my lows, when you begin to meditate, instead of doing this, we're high, we're low, we're high, it starts to even out, except the highs get a little higher. So the purpose of meditation is to keep that arc going up and balance the lows, right? And so for a moment this week, it was a crazy thing. I woke up and the joy wasn't there. The soul, that connection wasn't there of feeling spirit. And I hadn't experienced that in I don't know how long. So just for a moment, I woke up in this void, in this moment of nothingness. I was kind of reaching, and I felt so sad. And then, of course, I took a moment, took a couple of breaths, realized it can't be alone. And I came back up to my norm. And I realized what people who don't have the gifts that we have, yoga, meditation, the teachings of the ancients, a community to practice them in, some people live that way every day. I thought, if that was my norm, I would have had a hard time getting out of bed. I would have had a hard time motivating. What's the purpose of life? It feels dark and dense. Where's the joy? Who am I serving if I get up? What do you work for? Money? Yeah, you need it, but doesn't make you happy, right? So it was a great experience because I thought, what I did after that, of course, when we wake up, we meditate, and I said, I'm going for the connection. It motivated me to go deeper than ever before and to keep my mind from wanting to wander, to make, to do the do, but it also gave me compassion for the people who don't have that. And it made me reconfirm my dedication to helping to support a community where we can do this together.
Yeah.
Because if I'm a little down and you're a little up, just being in your field and seeing your smile is going to bring me up. And we're going to remind each other what it's all about. And we're going to have a hug for each other when we come through the door and feel the love of spirit. Right? So that was one thing I wanted to share with you. And another one, having kind of to do in the same line, is this story. Is that the chanting dog?
The God dog.
Or is it someone doing breath of fire?
No, he's breath of fire. He's a Kundalini dog
class,
now.
Yeah. I want to hear the God again. Hey, we'll have to see. We should sing it, and let's see if he sings. She sings. That would be so cool. So speaking of animals, there was this on this farm. There was an empty well, and a donkey found its way, kind of lost its way, and down at the bottom of the well. So it started screaming in fear and agony, and the farmer heard the donkey and came running out. And she said, wow, it's a really deep, empty well. I was supposed to cover it up. And the donkey's screaming, and the farmer's feeling bad. And all of a sudden, the left brain of the farmer takes over, and he goes, well, wait a minute. That is a really old donkey. And that well has to be covered up anyway. Yeah. So he went and got his neighbors, and he told them all to bring a shovel. Trust me. Right? Trust me. I'm not going to make you cry. So all the neighbors went around, not in the end anyway. So they started taking the dirt and throwing it on. Well, the donkey realized what was going on and started screaming even more ferociously and scared. And but they kept doing it. And all of a sudden they stopped hearing the scream. They kept doing it, and well, wait, what's going on? And they looked down, and the donkey realized that when they threw the dirt on him, all he had to do was shake his body and step on it. Then the dirt went on, they shook his body, and he stepped on it. So they kept doing it. Next thing you know, the donkey just walked out of the well. Right?
Nice.
Right? So that is, to me, the greatest example of why, when something happens to us that makes us uncomfortable, yes, the first thing we do is, right? But as yogis, then we know to take a deep breath, get centered, raise our consciousness, get connected, and we figure out how to shake it off and step on that challenge, step on that trial. When worries howl at me, I drown their noises loudly chanting, God, God, God. If we get still, we realize what that situation in our life is meant to bring us. We can shake it off, we step on it, and pretty soon we are out of the well of that challenge and free. And then when others are going through it too, in our compassion, help them see how this is a stepping stone to their freedom in whatever way has them stuck, and in the well and in the darkness. Because that's what our summer is about. I'm saying it over and over again. But in order to be able to perceive quickly and the highest and best way to make a challenge into an opportunity is to meditate, tune in. The next Saturday I'm going to put a shameless plug in for our spiritual arts program. We meditate using the light. We use the light in all aspects of our life, which is one of the finest, meaning high vibration, rarefied vibrations of all source. And if you've ever wanted to learn more about it, how it works in your consciousness in your auric field, the beginner class is happening next week. And if you've already taken that and you have you're all ready, we're on at 12:30. Don't miss it, because we're going to be talking about the inner planes and our spiritual ascent. So there you have it. It's one of the most profound programs we have here at the Soul. So if you're interested, let us know. See? The donkey had a happy story. And
that's it?
That's it. I'm done.
You are very brief today.
We said we were going to end on time.
Oh.
Remember
I'm
that?
really the brief one. So it's time for a mantra. We haven't done this group mantra together in Soul Talk for a while, so I thought it'd be a good morning to do it. So if you have something in your hands, you might want to just put it down. Just for a second. You can pick it back up in a minute. This is just to awaken, the divinity that's within. This is almost an instant little wake up, little mantra kind of thing, and it goes like this. I'm feeling so good, I'm joy vibrations, and I'm feeling so good 'cause I am Om. I'm feeling so good, I'm joy vibrations, and I'm feeling so good 'cause I am Om. I'm feeling so good, I'm joy vibrations, and I'm feeling so good 'cause I am Om. I'm feeling so good, I'm joy vibrations, and I'm feeling so good 'cause I am. Once more, I'm feeling so good. Fake it. Joy vibrations, and I'm feeling so good 'cause I am Om. Give someone a hug. Yeah, baby, it's that simple. It's that simple. It's that simple. You know, that is one way. That is one way of shaking off some of the dirt. If we're in one of those situations and it seems like and it seems like this is the worst ever, or it's a repeat of the same old stuff, which seems like the worst ever, we just shake it off, you know. And it's interesting that if I had a $100 bill right now and I said, anyone want it? I'm sure you might not raise your hand, but I know in your heart you'd say, yeah, I want it. You'd be a fool not to want $100. If I'm going to give away $100, who wouldn't want it, right? But what if I crumbled it up, made it like a crumbly little thing, and I said, does anyone want this? Why would you want a crumbly old $100 bill? Well, why? Because it's still $100. But it wasn't enough, and me and Doggy went outside and we played around in the dirt and we got it all dirty, and now it's dirty and crumbly. Anyone want the $100 bill? Yeah. You don't lose your value. No matter how much dirt is on you. And you know, the strange thing is that the dirt is kind of self-put there. Because your soul, Tricia said today, is a great day to contemplate the soul. It has nothing to do with you. Meaning the parts of you that sometimes get sad, and the parts of you that sometimes cry, and the parts of you that just feel so much pain. Whether it's, you know, pain, your own pain, or pain in someone and you're going through something in your family, some family member, or you see something horrible on the news and you're like, oh, no, you know, and you just feel this pain. That is not you. That is a very temporary part of you. Yeah, I mean, a lifetime can seem long when you're in pain. You've had many lifetimes, and most of them have been in pain, because I'll tell you something. If we forget that we're here to really serve the divine plan, well, and if that scares you, I'll keep it real simple. The divine plan is to be happy. I mean, a happiness that isn't conditioned, a soul happiness, or a joy that isn't conditioned on what you think, how much dirt you have on you, what your karma is. It's a soul happiness. It is what each of us really, truly, genuinely are. That's our value. And that's just one of the most beautiful soul qualities there is. There's many others too, right? There's peace, there's light, there's surrender, there's strength, there's compassion. I mean, you just like a sun, and the rays all have an amazing, beautiful quality, and that's our true nature. So nothing, no one, death cannot ever diminish the value of you. And it's just, you know, like, did we believe that the dog was singing God, God? Yes, I do, because I've learned that nothing in this world is not God and spirit. So how could it not be God? And you might say, well, something just horrible happened. That's not God. Yes, it is in this respect. The energies that surround the duality that we're in, and a lot of you, I know I do, we just got a new HD big screen. Woo! First one ever for me. Now remember, I had a what do they call that? Something market, when you have something and no one's supposed to know. Black market. As a monk, we weren't allowed TVs. We weren't allowed TVs. So one of my monk friends, who wasn't on the best example side, it was his, but he upgraded. Now again, we weren't had permission.
Contraband.
It's contraband. So he said to me, do you want the little one? The little black and white. It was literally this big. And I'm going, OMG, I do. You better, because I can't get over my upbringing as a sports fanatic, right? And then, so I come in the ashram at the same time, a young monk, same time as a postulant monk come in, and his cousin is then the quarterback to the San Diego Chargers. Give me a break. What are the chances of that? And the quarterback's name back then was Dan Fouts. And anyone of you. So he's talking all the time about Dan Fouts. So I'm in the ashram to forget all that stuff. Dan Fouts, Dan Fouts, Dan Fouts. So he got a little clique going in the ashram of these mad Charger fans. I was one of them. So I knew that for sure, really, I was just going to watch on Sundays. The Charger game. Read, that's all. Not a big deal. But you have a thing in the order, the monastic order, a thing called a hierarchical system. That is, you'll have counselors. Counselors that you are to, you know, when you're in question about something or you want permission, you go to your counselor. Of course, I know some of you, like me, it was easier to ask for forgiveness than for permission a lot of the time. But I was still young. I hadn't learned that quite yet. And I had at that point, I still had a conscience. Just kidding. And so I said, when is the best time to ask him? Now, luckily for me, this counselor, he stayed to be my counselor even after I left the Postulant ashram, which is your very, more strict kind of learning for a couple years. He remained my counselor, and it's the reason I was able to stay 25 years. So I figured still, though, I was worried that he would say, no, you're not supposed to have it because the rules say you don't. Some of us still have fear around that, right? And so we went on an outing and we went to the movies here in Encinitas. And I ended up sitting right next to him. But they weren't even showing the previews. And I thought, no, this is the time. And I turned to him and I said, brother, and I just blurted it out. I said, brother so-and-so, his name was Patrick. Patrick gave me a little TV, it's this big. And I was just like, I'm just saying, oh. And I said, I'm just going to use it for the Chargers, brother. And you know what he said? He said, how are they doing? Yes. Yes. Oh, man, I thought I'd just gone to heaven. And that's how he handled me. Sometimes it was, no, absolute. Like when I was thinking of leaving the ashram early on, and I had really good reasons to leave early on, but he saw it in my karmic chart. Not a good time to go. You haven't learned what you've come here to learn. And I went to him thinking that, because he usually would give me permission on stuff when I asked him, can I leave? No! No! And when, I so trusted him and honored, I knew, even though it hurt me, I think it's time for me to go. I knew that I wasn't going to go. But a lot of time he gave me permissions. And just to end this little story, some years later, I said to him, brother, why did you give me so many permissions? Because quite frankly, some of them were a little on the edge. A little on the edge. And he said this. He said, because if I would have said no, and you would have did it anyway, it would have broke our trust. And I don't want that to happen for anything in this world. What? And then when I heard that, I went, wow, that's something special was just said to me. That somebody would almost give me so much rope that was, potentially dangerous for me, so that we could have a bond, we could still communicate, we could still be friends, we could still honor each other, because he knew that that is what would bring me around eventually anyway, in the long run and the short run. So that's why he was so lenient with me. And boy, that's just a little sampling. Like I said before we chanted God, God, God. You might not feel anything. It might not be your thing. Or you haven't trained yourself to enjoy it. See, we're conditioned pretty much the other way. We have habits, and we have things that we do, and we just condition ourselves into them. And then we think that we enjoy them, but they cannot give you that happiness at all. It's just a false happiness. It's a pseudo thing, and it goes away, and then you're even more satiated with it, but you want more, but you're getting less out of it, type of thing. But in this case, if the motive is somewhat pure in your heart, regardless of what you're feeling, but if you really want to make a connection, as Trish said, a soul connection, and you call out the holy name, whether God is your name or Divine Mother or love, it doesn't matter. But if you're sincere here, I promise you that sometime, someday, when you have the higher consciousness or when you transition to the other side, God is going to show you his response or her response those times, every single time, that you turned within and just reached up to go vertical, reached up, even though you're just filthy dirty with the crud of mortal, limited, restless, lack consciousness, and you just had a heart. That's all we got sometimes. You and I probably will all need to go there where all we got, we're so covered that all we got is the will to love, the will to make a connection. But I promise you, God will show you each and every time that you turn that way. Against all odds, kids, against all odds. I was 1,000,000 to 1 to make it for 25 years in ashram, 1,000,000 to 1. But the holy ones never, ever bet against you, ever. But God will show you the response that you just got in a higher way. You just don't feel it, you don't see it. The response, the beloved herself or himself, and just going, oh, and hugging you, and removing karma, and picking you up, and you don't even see how it's being picked up. See, every time you have a moment of the light, a moment that you have, a moment of clarity, or you have a moment where you just hold off a desire just because there's something higher to do in the meantime. Maybe you're called to action, maybe you're called to babysit or something, and you just hold off. That is such a special deposit, since we're talking about happiness billionaire, or this class I'm going to do next weekend. But every time you do that, it's a huge deposit in your soul count. But it's not you doing it. All you did was have initiated the will to do it. But what we don't see, it's grace that does it. It's grace that does it. Any of you that have success in your recoveries, I think you became successful because you realize you cannot do it on your own. Right? And if you're still struggling with your recovery, you got to hand this baby over and ask for divine help and trust the grace that comes by never giving up, kind of thing, No matter how much filth that we feel we're in or around us or we see around us, doesn't matter. Another story is that there was, and some of you may have heard this, there was an auction. And they came to auctioning a very old, battered, crummy-looking violin. And the auctioneer held this thing up, and it didn't even, one string was off, and it just looked horrible. And he said, all right, folks, we have a violin. How much is someone willing to give for this violin? And someone said, $1. And there was no further action. There was no further action. The people saw this old violin as only worth $1. Trish and I are getting a new heater for our house. It's not really that old. And I asked the guy, how much can we get for it? He said, $5. It's too noisy. So the heater doesn't have the seeming value. So right before they sealed the deal, okay, gone for $1, a gray-haired man in the back of the room stood up and very, very, very slowly walked up to the front of the room. He picked up the violin and proceeded to play the most beautiful heavenly melody that people have ever heard. And he put it down, walked back to his seat, and the auctioneer said, "Who? Okay. How much for the violin?" $1,000! He got $20,000 for the violin, just the way it is, and the way it was. What was the difference? What was the difference?
The touch of the master's hand.
The touch of an awakening heart, a touch of a soul that's just determined, you know what? I got the whole universe supporting me in this. All I got to do is initiate the first little, Lord, help me. That's it. That's it. Just like reach out. And the universe and the ones who are the team, your spiritual team, I mean, it's a whole hierarchy in the best of ways when it comes to that, are going to be there for you. They're here for you right now. In fact, it's impossible for you to go about this day without being surrounded by higher energies. not to mention that your soul lives inside of your brain. We saw an immersion in love over there. And by the way, if ever you feel like you really need a little pickup and a little brush off and a little loving and a hugging, and I mean an up-leveling, immersion in love. But we saw this thing on the brain, the brain. We saw this little clip on the brain, and it's like, wow, the neuron, the brain is like this amazing, divine, powerful, cosmic thing that even science is just going, I can't believe how potential this brain is. So what we did after we watched it, I said, you know what? We put a lot of attention in our heart and went a lot on this spiritual principle. But you know what? You know who's probably feeling pretty lonely these days? Is your brain. Where your soul dwells. So maybe I had you do this other thing just for like 15 seconds. Can you just say, I love you, brain? Put your hand on your head. It so feels like it's not wanted, guys. And it gets numbed out and all kinds of stuff. And the worries and the fears and all those things all the good stuff kind of just shuts down because the other's so conditioned. So the way to change that is just to love this thing right now. Whatever you love from your heart with that intention of just reaching your little hand up for divine support, it becomes activated. It becomes awakened, because that's how sleeping princess and sleeping prince wakes up, with a kiss. The kiss of this moment of pure intention, just saying, I love you, brain. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Nice. And those of us that have a bald head, it's really kind of cool to put your hand on your head, It's like, wow. It's like this little thing. It's this little thing. The whole so much cosmic power, right? But you and me are more than the violin. We are more than a divine melody. We are spirit itself. And to me, if you want to activate a whole chain of very fortunate events in your life, but this thing needs to be done on a very regular basis, what I'm going to tell you. And Tricia started today saying, we just need to go back to the basics. Oh my gosh, we need to go back to the basics. We need to enroll in spiritual kindergarten again. And we need to show up like it's our spiritual rehab place for the rest of this incarnation, because it's very, very difficult here to not get muddied, not to start to believe that you are tainted, impure, you're an addict, right? Or you're disloyal. And you start to believe those untruths. So here's the practice that I think can activate, and it's a first chakra practice, because at your first chakra, there is this quality called truth. The Sanskrit word is satya, truth, right at your root, foundation stone of your life. Be true to yourself, and you can't be untrue or false to anyone. And here's the practice, that you receive a breath and believe that you are always on a divine life support, because you can't exist without spirit existing you. That you're breathing in pure spirit, or God, if you like the word God, and you just breathe in the word God. Now here's the little hand reaching up for support here to activate the whole system. A chain of the most fortunate events from this moment on to the rest of your eternity. On the exhale breath, you say, I love you. I love you. I love you. That's it. That's it. That's the first and only step, quite frankly, any of us need. Because spirit is love itself. And so many of us forget to acknowledge love. We got other more important things to figure out, right? But we also discovered this weekend in Immersion Love that if you make a choice from fear, the higher self is saying, stop, 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 pause, breathe, walk. I love you, brain. I love you, heart. I love you, arm. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Breathe, and then choose from a place of love to activate and continue activating a whole chain of the most amazing, positive events in your life that's unimaginable to you where you sit now and what you're thinking about now. Because everything will improve in the future if you turn yourself to the light and not just say, okay, light, I turn to the light, I visualize the light, it's this color now and that color. That's wonderful, because that also will bring such a dispensation and blessings to you. But let's add the spice. Let's add the real thing that knocks Source on its heels, baby. And that is, I love you. I love you. I love you. See, Source has everything, as Yogananda once said, but it doesn't have our love. You know what's the greatest example of a lover is Source, because Source is all powerful, but it doesn't force you. It's not in your face every day, is it? And saying, you have to love me. You have to be a good girl. Unless you guys are conditioned and think that's the way Source is. Source is not. Because that's not love. If you're in someone's face, or in your own face, kind of pointing at yourself or others saying, God, you got to change, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's not love. Why Source let us have free will is because when we choose in our darkness, in our awakening, in whatever, to pause in this game of life, it's quite a show, isn't it? It's an amazing show. There was a character actor by the name of George Raft. He played many character parts. And he became wealthy, and then he became poor. He became wealthy, and he millionaire, and then he lost it. Millionaire, lost. So finally, he was interviewed and said, George, where does the money go? You've made millions a lot of times. He said, oh, yeah, that's simple. He said, part of it I spend on women, part of it I spend on drinking, and part of it I spend on parties. And he said, the rest I spend foolishly. So when we get caught up, we think it's party time. But the pause out from the show, where we can overact quite easily, right, is this moment. Go to the heart of the matter, my friends. Start your spiritual day during the day and see how many opportunities you can will yourself to have today, where it's just you and the one. Nothing else, just for one breath. Start with one breath. Inhale the light of spirit, because that's what's in the oxygen molecule anyway, I promise you. And exhale, just squeeze the heart. Seize the moment, squeeze the heart. I love you. I love you. And then keep doing that until you actually look forward to loving love back again more than anything in this world. You see, love is not being loved. Your brain is not being loved. The leg is not being loved as it walks you to the car, and you didn't trip and break the darn thing, and you still have mobility. You're not on a stick or the cart, the chair. You guys many of us can probably walk on our own, not on our own to the car. It seems that way, but thank your legs. Love them in matter of fact, because if you loved life this way. Love the tree, Love your car. There's a real energy in your car. There's an energy called love in everything. And if we could just kind of get really crazy around appreciating everything and loving everything, poof, magic time on planet Earth. Because everything is going to be seen in a new way. Because what makes you and me sad, which is the state that is furthest from the truth ever to allow yourself to stay sad, is that we see things from one vantage point, maybe limited, maybe in fear, every single day. And if we're not careful, all day long, and then we wake up maybe with a sad kind of energy. Trish popped right out of it because for years and years she's just practiced popping out of it. But some of us don't find it popping out is so easy. But imagine when you just do this little thing that I suggested and start and activate the whole system by breathing in spirit. I love you, spirit. Creating a romance, a relationship with the formless and the omnipresent all around you, everywhere. You gotta create that like you do your own relationships, falling in love relationships. You do that. And then if I was blind and I didn't have a sight to see anything positive, then one day what is activated is all windows will open and you'll see spirit everywhere. You'll see spirit in everyone. You'll see spirit in the most seemingly places where people said, I won't give $1 for that. You'll see spirit in people, that people are being auctioned off. Sometimes it's your friends that you thought were friends are willing to auction you off when you don't show up in a way that they want you to show up. Even then, my friend, even then, you'll be able to say, like Tricia said, I'm going to just go so vertical right now. When you find yourself in a hole, that's the time to love more. All right, I'm going to end you with that affirmation. Let's say it all together. When I find myself in a hole, I'm going to love more. Let's say it once more. When I find myself in a hole, I'm going to love more. That's a country western hit song. Someone, if they want it, they can see me if they want the title.